Howdy, howdy, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Admin, and welcome to an update for the Moar Boots Datapack. But real quick, before we jump into it, only around 24% of you watching my videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It would really do a lot to help me out. Alright, so on with the video. In today's update, we added 5 new boots to the pack. They can be crafted in a custom crafter. The custom crafter is a dropper facing upwards with a crafting table thrown on top. All of the recipes for these boots show up in-game if you press L to bring up the Advancements tab. There is the More Boots tab, and we can see all of the recipes for all of the boots in-game. So just place the item that shows up in the texture here into the custom crafter in the exact location that it shows up in the image, and it will craft it into the boot. Alright, so what are the 5 boots added by this update? Update version 1.2 adds the TNT Boots, the Dolphin Boots, the Hover Boots, the Pegasus Boots, and the Anvil Boots. And as per usual, they fit with my mindset that we should not add any items to the game that are just statistical upgrades, but instead offer something unique to the table. In this case, all of the boots have a unique function to them that makes them useful in most situations, or some situations, but not useful in others. So with that in mind, let's kick things off with a bang. The TNT boots allow you to cause explosions at will. So if we put them on, you can see that they show up red, and they will work where whenever you press shift after jumping, they will cause an explosion. So if we press shift while non-jumping, nothing happens, but if we jump and then press shift, you'll see there's an explosion that does not cause world damage and does not damage me. However, it does use some durability of the boots, so do keep that in mind. There's a set amount of uses that you can actually do with these boots. Also, while the explosion doesn't damage you, the fall damage definitely does, so do keep that in mind. Okay, so how exactly might you use these boots? Well, they're actually quite useful as an offensive weapon. You can see if we jump and press shift near the cow, it will die from the explosion. So while the explosion doesn't hurt the world, it will hurt entities around. So quite actually a powerful weapon. Now, we don't actually get all that many uses out of it, about 10 or so. Of course, you could enchant this with Unbreaking or Mending to use it for a lot longer. Oh, and if you were wondering, you can only use them once while in the air. As you can see, it will not activate again until I've successfully landed back on the ground, and then I can actually use it again. Oh, and while it is a good weapon, it is also a decent movement option. You can use it to TNT jump, essentially. It's a little bit imprecise which way you'll actually go, so not the most useful. I would suggest using the flappy boots if you're really wanting a good mobility boot, but it has some functionality in actually getting you around. And as you can see, the durability really isn't that high, so I did just break them to get up onto the roof of this village house. So yeah, if you are looking for a good movement option, do check out the flappy boots. They are in the previous update. There is an iCard in the top right to a playlist with all of the boots videos, both old and new, and ones that will come out in the future. Moving right along, we have boot number 2, the Dolphin Boots. If we are in water while wearing these boots, we get Dolphin's Grace. If you didn't know, Dolphin's Grace gives you a pretty substantial speed boost while swimming in water. It will not restore your bubbles like Conduit's Power or Water Breathing do, but this does allow you to swim quite quickly in water. It can also be combined with a speed potion to hit quite fast of speed. So this one's pretty good for transportation. Of course, it only does work in water, and so it's not all that overpowered. You could totally make water tunnels to swim in using these boots, and it could be quite a cool transportation system, honestly. Now, of course, while Dolphin's Grace is quite nice for swimming in water, as you can see we're going quite quickly, the boots themselves don't really provide much armor. You can see we get 1 armor bar there, and they only have the effect of giving Dolphin's Grace. Meanwhile, there are boots like the Speed Boots down here that will increase your run speed by 25%. So this definitely increases your water speed by a lot more than 25%. But those speed boots would be more useful on, like in more situations. Okay, enough about the Dolphin Boots, let's move on to the next one. Boots number 3 is the Hover Boots. These will allow you to hover in the air for about 5 seconds. To do so, you need to press shift while in the air, and you'll see that there's a bit of a sound effect. There's some particles that appear below you, and you will hover for 5 seconds. And as soon as you touch the ground, the timer resets, so you can hover again for 5 more seconds. This allows you to travel a fair distance, honestly, from where you jumped. You could also not necessarily hold down shift and instead stagger it to drop in height if you wanted to. The hover boots have all sorts of applications in building and getting around your world. Plus, you can use them to just not take any fall damage. If you use them at the bottom of a fall, you will not take any fall damage. Here's a bit of a better example of that. You can see I can press shift to slow my descent, and because I get 5 seconds of it, I can easily get to the ground without any risk of actually dying. So these boots are quite powerful in that regard. They are also quite similar to the hover boots from the previous video. However, those allow you to go up, but can only be used for 5 game ticks, while this lasts for 5 seconds, but only lets you go down. So in a way, they're kind of the opposite concept, but they function quite similarly. Okay, for boot number 4, we have the Pegasus Boots. When worn, we will get a brief amount of speed. To activate them, simply hit sprint, and you will get about 1 second of speed. And then there's about 5 seconds of recharging, and once it is done recharging, there's a little sound effect, a little puff of smoke, and then we can go and sprint again. I think it lasts for 2 seconds, and then it runs out, and then we have to wait about 5 seconds. No sprinting during this time. There's a little sound effect, like I mentioned, to indicate that it is done recharging, and then we can sprint again. And it is speed 10, which is extremely fast, so you can really book it. Though, it doesn't last for all that long, obviously, but it definitely lets you get places quite quickly, and it does take a little bit to recharge, of course, so there's that one. And again, you do have to stop sprinting in order for it to recharge. It will not recharge if you continue sprinting afterwards. So yeah, I really like the concept of these. I know it comes from The Legend of Zelda in the same way that the hover boots also came from The Legend of Zelda. But honestly, it makes a really cool concept, and I really enjoyed coding these ones. Also, as I probably should have mentioned a bit earlier, so if you are sprinting, you get up to 2 seconds, like I mentioned. But if you stop at any point, you'll see that the speed effect cancels immediately. So you can sprint for shorter than 2 seconds, you just max out at 2 seconds, like so. And finally, we have boot number 5. This one is quite unique. They are the Anvil Boots. Anvil Boots turn you into a living anvil. Not the type to combine enchantments, though. No. This is the dangerous type of anvil, the falling anvil. If you land on a mob while falling from any height that will give you fall damage, the mob itself will take some damage and go flying a short distance. So, as long as the fall is at least 4 blocks and you are in a game mode where you can actually take fall damage, so this won't work in creative, any mobs that you land on will take some damage. And that was kind of loud. So while this is pretty decent at dealing a little bit of damage to nearby mobs, it's about a 2-block radius, so you have a little bit of leeway on it. It isn't necessarily all that powerful, right? I haven't killed anything. Well, just like an anvil, the further that you fall from, the more damage it will do. Of course, you will also take more damage because we're taking fall damage here, and looks like I completely missed. Also, like an anvil, it is a bit difficult to aim, but if I land here, you'll see that the cow just died in 1 single hit. So the more damage that you took from the fall, or the higher the fall specifically, the more damage you will deal to mobs. If I summon in some of my second favorite dummy, the husk, and then go into survival mode, you'll see that these obviously, they have a lot more health than the player does. So if I drop on them, they will actually take a whole lot of damage and possibly die. And of course, I am able to hit multiple targets with this, so if I drop down right here, we'll see that most of them died from the land, and honestly, it could have done a whole lot of damage to them. You can see, essentially I can just throw myself off the cliff and they will take some damage. So these ones are very situational and more just, I guess, silly idea. But they're definitely a lot of fun, so I enjoyed making these, and they're just, it's a wacky, silly idea. So yeah, the Anvil Boots are definitely one of the most situational boots that I've ever added, and honestly, were mostly just because I thought the idea was cool and they are quite interesting. Not necessarily that useful or practical, and I'm just demonstrating they don't work in creative mode, but anyway, those are the 5 boots that I added in this update. If you did enjoy them, make sure to leave a like on the video. If you have yet to do so, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any good ideas for new boots that I could add to the pack, make sure that they are unique and creative ideas and not statistical upgrades. Leave the idea in our suggestions channel. You can also tweet me on Twitter at WasPBuild. But that's all I have for today's video, so I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thanks for watching.